56 men signed the Declaration of Independence. 56 men signed a document guaranteeing our right to pursue our happiness. What sort of men were these? 24 were judges and lawyers. 9 were farmers and plantation owners. 11 were merchants. The remaining 12 were doctors, ministers, and politicians. Well-educated men of means, knowing full well that signing such a document would mean certain death if captured. Fire! Celebrities today like to remind us about the importance of personal sacrifice. Hollywood icons nobly man the front lines in the fight to save our environment. For example, a beloved Tinseltown actress recycles her grocery bags, uses eco-friendly diapers, and proudly drives a Prius. A former supermodel, now television talk show host, implores take short showers, turn off the faucet when you brush your teeth, and flush only when necessary. Finally, another well-known actress, respected by many for her commitment as an environmental activist, points out the benefit of turning off the water when shaving one's legs. The 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence experienced small sacrifices of their own. 5 were tortured and subsequently died. 12 had their homes ransacked and burned. 9 died fighting the Revolutionary War. Politicians and broadcasters today love to complain about our very difficult lives. They'll complain about skyrocketing gas prices, and they'll complain about a healthcare industry run amok, and they'll complain about a growing disillusionment toward long-standing American institutions. Here are 2 who never complained. Signer and New York delegate Francis Lewis was born in Wales, the only child of a clergyman and orphaned at an early age. His signature proved costly indeed. Francis Lewis saw his home plundered and properties destroyed. The enemy incarcerated his wife, and she died months later. Signer Carter Braxton, born in Virginia, invested much of his wealth as a successful planter and trader into the revolutionary cause. The British destroyed his private fleet as well as a number of his plantations. After selling his home and remaining possessions to pay his debts, Carter Braxton died in rags. Listen to these words of Eleanor Roosevelt. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. The signers of the Declaration of Independence were men of ideas. Men such as signer Thomas McKean, born in Pennsylvania in 1734. Continually hounded by enemy pursuers, Thomas was forced to move his family on a constant basis. He served in Congress without pay. His reward? A family kept in hiding, his possessions taken away, a life in abject poverty. Signer John Hart was a highly successful New Jersey farmer. He served as a justice of the peace and a member of the New Jersey Assembly. Later, John Hart became a delegate to the Continental Congress. After being driven from his dying wife's bedside, his 13 children having fled for their lives, John Hart lived in the woods and forest caves for over a year. He returned home only to find his wife dead and his children vanished. Weeks later, John Hart died from exhaustion and a broken spirit. Signers Philip Livingston and Lewis Morris experienced similar fates. A famous Chinese proverb states, "It is better to light a single candle than to curse the darkness." Few actually do, because cynicism requires little effort, little intellect, and little responsibility. So, for those who prefer to wallow in the dark, let us remember their right to do so as American citizens, a right given to them by these very same gentlemen. But most Americans will always prefer candle lighters to darkness cursers. One such candle lighter, signer Thomas Nelson, Jr., lived his life before the war as a Virginia planter, soldier, and statesman. His home was abruptly taken by British General Cornwallis for use as headquarters during the Battle of Yorktown. Governor Nelson became incensed as American guns would not engage. "Why do you spare my home?" he decried. Their response, "Sir, out of respect for you." Frustrated, Nelson demanded, "Give me the cannon," then proceeded to destroy the palatial residence himself. Yet this was not the end of his heroic sacrifice. Nelson raised $2 million, pledging his own estates to support the revolutionary cause. His property was forfeited when a peacetime Congress refused to honor that debt. Thomas Nelson, Jr. died a few years later, bankrupt at age 50. Thomas Nelson, Jr. wasn't alone, as soldiers and vandals ransacked and pilfered the homes of signers Clymer, Ellery, Gwinnett, Hall, Hayward, Middleton, Rutledge, and Walton. So let us honor the unparalleled sacrifices of these men. We can all agree that they gave us a precious gift. Let us pray for the souls of these 56 men and thank them.